says on the dash, it says chassis function restricted. Okay, dope. Sweet. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, we are in Tyson's BMW M3. Wow, wheel spin, second gear. Now Tyson works over at RCS Autohaus in Richmond over at Trove. Now, we were just over there not too long ago. Actually, we've done videos with Charles there now. And then we did a video on Q's Lamborghini as well over at Trove. Definitely check those out. And here we are. We found ourselves in Tyson's M3. It's an F80, and it basically has a bunch of bolt-ons, both from CTS Turbo, performance parts, and as well RCS's own parts too. Wow, okay. So I drove to today's shoot in a BMW M8 competition press car. So to jump in, to get out of an M8 competition and then into something like this M3, you're coming from something with a huge twin turbo V8 into what, you know, isn't a V8 in the M3, but it all really comes down to personal preference. Now, I like small cars, okay? You guys know I've had a couple MR2 turbos in the past, and honestly, what that did was teach me over the years, like 4 or 5 years, about vehicle dynamics, piloting a small vehicle like that. So getting from the M8 competition to this M3, it's night and day. Like, I know BMW makes some of the most refined and exciting German cars on the market, but you really got to drive them all to appreciate, because from the outside and from the inside, I mean, obviously the F80 is a little bit older than the brand new M8 competition we're shooting this week. But that being said, all new BMWs like X5M, X6M, M8, M6, M5, they all kind of have, when you get on the interior here, they kind of have an entirely similar just look to them. But what you don't get from, you know, what you're sitting in a dealership is the actual raw driving experience, which ultimately just comes down to your personal preference. Wow. Squirrely at like 100 kilometers an hour. Wagging its tail like crazy. Okay, wow. Very cold out today. Also, you guys, winter here in Canada. So this morning, I mean, we're pansies here in BC, but it was about -2, -3 earlier this morning, and I almost didn't want to shoot today because of that. Holy crap, Tyson, your car wants me dead. Turbo sounds dope. Turbos. Wow, I mean, it's fast. It's very fast. There's one thing about M cars, they are a joy to drive. Wow. If you guys have eyes of any kind, you'll notice Tyson's M3 is a manual, okay? Okay, we'll do a little pull here. Woo. Okay, here we go. Woo! I thought that was a cop for a second. Holy shit. It's loud, and it is much more involved than the M8. The M8 is it's like, obviously one of, I believe the i8 is the only more expensive BMW product than the M8 competition, but what is incredibly apparent when driving an F80 M3, even a lightly modified one like this,
is that it really is the first M3 that feels as if the badge isn't being truly honest to the driving experience. The most obvious tell of this is the fact it was the first turbocharged M3 offered by BMW. I was recently asked on Instagram what my favorite generation out of the M3 lineup is, and although, yeah, I've never driven an E30 M3, I have driven all of the others, and the most concise and honest answer I can give is the naturally aspirated ones. It's really that simple. Looking back now, it was obvious this was going to be the trajectory going forward, especially after the E90, E92 generation was launched. BMW was never going to backtrack in terms of horsepower. That was pretty obvious, so naturally a V8 was introduced. Now here we are in a world where a few well-designed bolt-on parts under the hood here result in a torque-filled, kind of catch-you-off-guard punch that the E36 and E46 M3s just didn't have when they came out.
Oh yeah!
So what does this mean for the enthusiast who wants that more honest and original M3 feeling, but from a modern M car? It's the M2. The M2 is more of an M3 than the M3 is. Let that sink in. So, you've got a couple of choices now. You either find your perfect classic M3 and completely ruin it with an aftermarket head unit, so you'll have Bluetooth, navigation, Apple CarPlay, and all that, or you accept the F80 you're driving for exactly what it is. A much more technically capable BMW, but one that clearly just does not contain the same spirit of the original ultimate driving machine. So, anyways, under the hood of this one here, if you're curious, are a pair of CTS intakes, a CTS intercooler, CTS J-Pipe, a Boot Mod 3 Stage 1 tune, KW adjustable springs, and the Factory M Performance titanium exhaust.
So here in Canada, there were only, for the entire production run of the F80 M3, there were only about 216, I believe, examples in a manual transmission. That's really cool. So what that tells me is those of us who enjoy manual cars, who really want an F80 M3 F80 M3 manual, will go out and, find one. And Tyson was even, Tyson was telling me he used to have an M5, but he likes this better. He's kind of like me. He likes smaller cars. Rev matching, as Tyson was telling me, is also broken on this car. Or it's not working. Okay, I want to roll down the windows. Listen to that! It's just a constant barrage of fireworks. Nice new Bride Lomax in here as well for Tyson. This is dope. Always love the fixed back seat. M3s are just that. I feel like the M3, I mean, you guys already know this, but like E30, E36, E46, it doesn't matter. The M3 was ultimately originally built for drivers. So that was a nice Lexus IS back there. It's fast enough. I like it. I really like it. And what I was telling Tyson earlier as well, I've always loved how BMWs, most BMWs, have that really nice OEM tuck in the back wheels. Like a perfect example, I remember a teacher of mine back in elementary school had a four-door E36 M3 that would be parked outside the school. And I didn't know what I liked about it. I honestly had no idea what I liked about it. Oh my God. Except for the fact that I knew it looked good, okay? And that's exactly the same thing here with the F80. You look at the back wheel tuck, and this one has been modified, so it's even more kind of accentuated back there. But go back and look at the E36, E46 M3, not so much the E92, but the older kind of wider hips that they brought back with this F80. They always have a really good stance to them. I'm not a stance guy. I like how cars drive more than I like fucking looking at them. but that being said, they're also amazing to look at. So yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've driven a factory F80 M3, but damn. I mean, these are, I mean, right now, they're a bargain for power and stuff, but if you can find one in a manual, this is a great driver's car. It's a great daily. While the cracks are somewhat unpredictable, it's still, oh wow, really picks up after 6. Like 5 to 7 is just gnarly. Wow. Yeah, the pops are cool. They, you know, they could be a little bit more like sporadic, I guess you could say. Like, you know, a lot of people are putting burble tunes and stuff on. Like when the Huracan first came out, every YouTuber had like just constant burbles coming out, right? Same kind of situation here, but I you know, in my MR2, keep going back to it, it had literally the only time it would basically pop was if I was driving it really hard for a long time and the turbo would get so hot that the exhaust gases would just like make scary noises out the tailpipes. Really something else. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching today's video on Tyson's F80 M3. Definitely go drop them a follow on Instagram down below as well. You can check out RCS Autohaus over at Trove in Richmond and those guys. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll be back, but follow me on Instagram at Roads Untraveled. And that's going to be the easiest way to find out everything that's going on with the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time.